The Fallout franchise is arguably one of the most iconic post-apocalyptic series out there, and it owes a lot of that success to its unique and bizarre setting. Unlike a more conventional apocalypse, the irradiated wastelands of Fallout play home to some truly distinctive creatures. Monsters like Deathclaws, Cazadors, and super mutants are some of the most immediately recognizable aspects of the series and a big part of its appeal. Yet the bestiary of the Fallout series has a lot more entries than just the iconic creatures. As any dedicated fan knows, the lore of this franchise can get extremely strange. To that end, here are some of the most obscure and lesser-known creatures in the Fallout world, and a look at what role they play in the lore of the series. Number 15. Trogg. Appear in Fallout 3 and Fallout 76. The basic origin of the Trogg is not dissimilar to that of many creatures in the wasteland. These hideous mutants were created through the troglodyte degeneration contagion, a hideous physical condition born of the radiation and industrial waste contaminating the ruins of Pittsburgh. This disease slowly turns humans into deformed, violent mutants. The contagion has wreaked havoc with the population of the pit, and in Fallout 3, drastic measures have been taken to cure it. During the game's DLC, The Pit, players must decide the fate not only of the Troggs, but of the region itself. Number 14. Marked Men. Appear in Fallout, New Vegas. Throughout the events of Fallout New Vegas, it's been hinted that the Courier has a grim history with the region. The game's Lonesome Road DLC reveals this history by bringing players to the Divide, a canyon that's been ravaged by nuclear fallout and constant biting winds. This devastation is a direct result of the Courier's actions, as are the marked men it created. Marked men are similar to ghouls, in that radiation has turned them into nigh-immortal, decayed humanoids. But the constant storms in the region have also flayed away these creatures' skins, leaving them in a state of constant agony. The marked men were once members of Caesar's Legion and the NCR, but their shared burden has erased this military divide and united them into one furious armada. Number 13. Mole Miner. Appears in Fallout 76. Players who've avoided Fallout 76 due to its infamously shaky launch are likely unaware of some of the groundbreaking lore introduced in post-apocalyptic Appalachia. One of the more significant revelations is the existence of a whole new race of mole people, living deep underground. As the name suggests, mole miners are mutated human miners who are trapped forever in the bulky suits they used to survive deep underground. Most of these creatures are completely hostile, but there's a notable exception in the form of Pavere Murmura, an enterprising mercantile mole miner who's willing to do business with humans. Number 12. Flatwoods Monster. Appears in Fallout 76. Fallout 76's Appalachian setting is rich with history and folklore, and the mysterious Flatwoods Monster is a particularly infamous example. This mysterious cryptid is often identified as an alien visitor, while skeptics are more likely to label it a particularly menacing owl, or just a total fabrication. The version in Fallout 76, however, is all too real. These sinister hovering monsters appear at random throughout Appalachia. They only come out at night, and will frequently teleport around to defend themselves in combat. They can even control the minds of creatures and robots nearby and use this for defense, making them even more menacing foes. Number 11. Tunneler. Appears in Fallout, New Vegas. The origins of these strange reptilian creatures are largely unknown. They are likely subterranean lizards who were mutated by the excessive radiation and destruction of the Great War. Whatever the case, they were awakened during the Courier's disastrous first visit to the Divide, and are now beginning to move on the surface. These hardy beasts travel in swarms and are difficult to bring down. Ulysses theorized that within years these creatures will have spread enough to pose a major threat to the Mojave and the burgeoning civilizations vying for control there. This makes the player's victory at Hoover Dam a somewhat hollow one, regardless of which force they side with. Number 10. Horned Kangaroo. Appears in Fallout and Fallout 2. Mutated animals are a common sight in the world of Fallout, but some are much rarer than others. The elusive horned kangaroo is one example. Skeletal remains of this strange creature can be found in the first 2 games, but they are never so much as mentioned again. The presence of these strange creatures raises a lot of questions. Kangaroos are hardly a common sight in the pre-apocalyptic United States, after all. The fact that these creatures develop strange horns is, in the end, just about the least surprising thing about them. Number 9. Ghost People. Appears in Fallout, New Vegas. These terrifying creatures only appear in Dead Money, one of the DLC campaigns for Fallout, New Vegas. Their frightful appearance as they lurch toward the player, eyes glowing behind the lenses of their gas masks, means that few Fallout fans are likely to forget them. What makes them even worse is how difficult they are to kill, as they only stay dead if their limbs are chopped off. Of course, the Ghost People aren't just faceless monsters. They're the mutated employees of the casino where the DLC is set. The unique circumstances of their origin means it's unlikely that Ghost People will show up elsewhere in the Fallout wasteland. Consequently, most people in the world of Fallout are blissfully unaware of the existence of these haunting killers. Number 8. Rad Rat. Appears in Fallout 4, Nuka World. Mutated rats are common throughout the Fallout series. Rad Rats, however, are unique, as they only appear in the Nuka World expansion for Fallout 4. These rats appear to be almost totally hairless, like their relatives, the mole rats. These creatures are much tougher than mole rats, though, and the legendary versions explode after death. Rad Rats are some of the more menacing rat creatures players can encounter in the Fallout series, and their rarity is just about their only saving grace. These nasty vermin are a prime example of the fact that even relatively mundane creatures can pack a nasty punch if they aren't taken seriously.
Make sure if you're enjoying our list to hit that like button and of course subscribe for future content.
Number 7. Lake Lurk. Appears in Fallout, New Vegas. Mirelurks are decently well-known creatures in the Fallout world. These giant crustaceans are a menace to any wastelander who strays too close to shore. One might expect to be safe from these monsters in the Mojave Desert setting of Fallout, New Vegas, but Lake Lurks are waiting to prove that theory wrong. As the name suggests, these grotesque fish men lurk near lakes and similar bodies of water throughout the game. They look and act similarly to the Mirelurk kings that prowl around Mirelurk colonies in other Fallout games, but they are much rarer due to the relative lack of suitable environments for them. They are very uncommon, and it's not impossible to get through an entire playthrough without meeting one. This makes it all the more surprising when one rears its ugly head. Number 6. Night Stalker. Appears in Fallout, New Vegas. The Night Stalker is a perfect fit for the desert landscape of Fallout, New Vegas, as it's a cross between the desert's two most quintessential carnivores, the rattlesnake and the coyote. These monsters are the result of genetic engineering, and by traveling to the Big MT in the Old World Blues expansion, the courier can learn about their origins. While Night Stalkers are far from the most dangerous inhabitants of the Mojave Desert, their sinister background makes them extremely noteworthy creatures, as well as a fundamental part of the landscape of Fallout, New Vegas. Even though they are virtually unknown outside the Mojave, these creatures are still worth keeping an eye out for. Number 5. Iguana. Appears in Fallout 1, 2, 3, New Vegas, 4, 76 and Tactics. Iguanas are perhaps the most ubiquitous creatures in Fallout canon, even though a live one has never been seen in-game. Some of the most common foodstuffs in the wasteland are made of iguana, and yet the creatures are never actually seen. Iguana meat is simply taken for granted. In the first Fallout game, there's a merchant selling human flesh in the guise of iguana meat, which casts even more doubt on the nature of this elusive food animal. Some NPCs will refer to pet iguanas, and deathclaws are sometimes even referred to as iguanas as an insult, but despite being everywhere in the wasteland, these mysterious reptiles are never actually seen. Number 4. Floater. Appears in Fallout, Fallout 2 and Fallout 76. The forced evolutionary virus has a long and horrifying history in the Fallout franchise. It's best known for giving birth to the super mutants, a race of aggressive green humanoids that have had a tumultuous relationship with the humans of the wasteland. But it's also created some truly grotesque creatures, and floaters are a viscerally unpleasant example. These eerie creatures can be encountered in the first two games as grotesque fleshy monsters with wide mouths and a distinctly alien aesthetic. The floaters of Fallout 76 are much different, sporting tentacles, a roughly humanoid face with gnashing sideways jaws, and a swollen, balloon-like sack on their heads. Whatever the variant, though, floaters are particularly frightful examples of the capabilities of FEV. Number 3. Spore Carrier. Appears in Fallout New Vegas. One of Fallout New Vegas' most memorable side quests involves venturing into Vault 22, which has been overgrown by flowering vegetation. There, the player will come face to face with spore carriers, plant-covered humanoids that ambush prey from patches of greenery. As the courier explores Vault 22, they'll learn more about the sinister fungal infection that brought these creatures to life. Even more spore carriers can be found in the Big MT, a massive science compound that serves as the setting of the Old World Blues expansion. The contagious spores that bring these monsters to life got their start here. While the player can conclusively deal with the threat of the spores in Vault 22, they can also hand over the research that led to their creation, paving the way for even more horrors. Number 2. Gal Whale. Fallout 4. There is only one member of this elusive race of creatures that's ever been mentioned in the canon of Fallout. A nameless NPC tells the tale of her grandfather seeing such a creature, who she refers to as Allpeg. The creature is clearly being introduced as a post-apocalyptic take on the classic tall tale spread frequently among fishermen. However, in the lore of the game, there are already numerous animals that are as bizarre as a blue whale turned into a ghoul, if not more so. Dead whales are a relatively common sight in Fallout 4 already, so the idea of an undead whale isn't that much harder to swallow. It's entirely possible that a truly massive creature is waiting just below the surface of the ocean. Number 1. Gator Claw. Fallout 4. The Deathclaw is a creature that needs no introduction. This towering menace is possibly Fallout's most well-known monster. The Gator Claw, on the other hand, is a much less common threat. These hulking monstrosities appear exclusively in the Nuka World DLC for Fallout 4, where they were genetically engineered by a mad scientist struggling to survive on his own. These Gator Claws are the focal point of a questline that sees the sole survivor shut down a machine that is constantly producing new Gator Claws. With the machine successfully disarmed, Gator Claws will likely never rise to the level of their more iconic counterparts. However, the existence of the technology used to create these monsters is a lingering existential threat to everyone who calls the wasteland home.
Okay, so that's it for today. So if you enjoyed it, punch the like button, leave a comment down below, of course, subscribe to this channel for my Twitter and Instagram links down below. As always, of course, I'll put my TubeBuddy first in the description for YouTube needs, tag titles, thumbnails, all that good stuff. So that's something you need help with, especially like I did. First in the description, download it today. Trust me, you'll wonder how you ever got on with it. And of course, our partner channels, and they hit down below, hit that join button to put myself and the channel, and of course get a huge range of benefits. But greatly appreciated. But of course, you never have to. But if you don't, you have to subscribe and watch the next video, or something might follow you home. You never know, stuff happens. Okay, thank you very much. I'll see you all again very soon.